Alright, I am in the finals of Triad Wars 14 against Akiyama, and I wanted to show, it's not loading properly, but I wanted to show a type of hand evaluation, and I thought, well, I wanted to do a type of hand evaluation thinking about hands, and I thought I may as well record the process in case someone finds it useful. So I've put together, and when I say I mean all but one were made by me. I did ask Smokes to make a hand, and he made this one because I wanted to see if there was anything I was missing. I didn't share with him any of the ideas I'd had. Now, I think I went over redundant here. I think I did a bad job. There are a million 866s to the left and right, and not many up-down. But I couldn't really make the up-down ones work for a couple reasons. One is neither of the 8646s or 8636s have an element, so it was harder to fit the requirement. The set is level 4 and 7, must use 2 level 4s, must have 3 elements covered. Now, Gigas, the card, can I highlight it? The 4th card in this top hand, the last one highlighted, is in fact double elemental. It counts as both ice and fire. There is already another fire card in the hand, but even if you got rid of the 6368, which incidentally I believe is also ice fire, with either of the first card or the 4th card gone, it would still have 3 elements in the hand because one would count for 2, and then the middle card would count for the 3rd. I looked at all the cards I liked. If we go through the hands quickly, I thought 8663s seemed really strong. Oh, the other set, sorry, I'm doing a terrible job saying the rules. The other rule is no 8/8s and max of 1/8/7. So if we're thinking we want to be able to plus wall the main targetable numbers, their hand can have up to 3 8s in it, right? They can't have more. There's a chance they have fewer if they decide instead of going for an 8/7 corner or an 8/6 to go for 7 7s. But they can have up to 3 8s in their hand. How many 7s can they have? Both level 4s can have a 7. All 3 level 7s can have a 7. There's a chance there will be a double 7 on a level 7 if they go for a 7/7. Incidentally, Akiyama, I haven't seen making hands on this set, but interestingly, on a level 6 set earlier this tournament, he went with 6861s. So I think it is a reasonable prediction to predict him to be on one of the 686 type hands. Now, I'm putting together hands even if I don't think I'd play them, if I think they're a plausible way to go, because of what we'll get to shortly. I want to sort of think about how the hands match up and make sure I'm matching up well against hands I probably won't use, but there's a chance he will. And I think, just based on the little I know, there's a pretty good chance he'll go with 866s. So there's a max of 3 8s in the hand. There's a max of like 9 7s, 8 7s, 8 7s. Each of the level 7s could have up to 2, and the level 4s could have 1 each. In practice, I think there won't be that many 7s either. There's a max of 1/8/7 corner, and if he goes with 866s, those are 2 cards, and if he goes with a pair of 866s, like we can see in the first hand here, those are 2 cards that don't have 7s on them at all. It makes me wonder, based on the hands I've built, if the correct number to target is actually 6, which is pretty rare, because normally it's pretty rare to have a set where you want to be targeting for plus walls and for combo potential a number that isn't one of the highest 2 numbers available. Sometimes on level 10 you see targeting 8s, A88s are very good at doing that, but of course as soon as those see 9s they can be very awkward. So I'm not sure what to target, and that's really why I wanted to put together a bunch of hands and just think about how they matched up. So based on how I'm showing the screen, we can only look at 2 hands at a time. But let's look at the first hand and the second hand. And I should actually go through each hand and describe generally what I was thinking. I think the 6863s are really good. I thought the 4646 was something they could play off well in the middle. The 4s let the 6-3 parts be able to combo 7s. The 6-3, meaning the 6 facing down with the 3 facing towards the 7. The 6-3 parts can already capture a lot of 7s on their own, and with the 6s to the left and right, if 4646 lands in 5, the 6863s now hit both 7s up and down and 8s up and down. So I thought that might play well, and also it is good coverage of 8s in itself. It is a nice recapture for my 6863s. Then I wanted some cards with more up and down because I am both very redundant and very limited up and down. So with my last two cards, I did one focused on down, one focused on up. I liked the 4, 6, 8, 7. I like that it is a 4 up and an 8 down, such that if my mass of 6s ends up on the middle row, it has plus wall potential there. And the 7, 6, 3, 2 also has plus wall potential against 6s facing down, so I'm hoping to be able to maybe play off the massive 6s with this hand. I also thought that would give decent directional balance. We have two opposite corners, two opposite sides, and a somewhat non-committal card in the middle. The second hand. I started with these 5, 7, 5, 2s. I think they might be really good here. I'm not sure. They can hit 8s, they can hit 7s. They don't really hit 6s. Unclear. On the other hand, if my hand has a lot of 6s, that might make them easier to recapture. You know, you could imagine like 2, 5, 7, 5 going in 2 at some point with 4, 6, 8, 7 ready to recapture. Now, maybe that wouldn't be safe at all. You know, if they have 8, 6, 4, 6, you don't have that necessarily. But ideas like that come to mind. This hand, basically, I have a card for 2, 2, 5, 7, 5 for 2, 5, 2, 5, 7 for 6, 8, 6, 4, 6 for 8, 6, 8, 6, 4 for 4. Not that they're going to land in those squares, but like that's the square they face out with most directional power, which seems to guarantee decent balance. Because the weakest cards are for 2 and 6, I decided to use my 8, 7 corner for the corner 3, the square that sort of adds to those. That was the idea of the second hand. The third hand was a 3-corner hand. The idea is to start 3, 6, 7, 2 in 1. 2, 7, 4, 6 can recapture from 2, and if that is captured from 5, 4, 5, 7, 7 can recapture from 3. 6, 8, 6, 3 can recapture our starter from 4 if need be. 8, 6, 4, 7 is a backup plan for that and can recapture 6, 8, 6, 3. Potential issues. If I play 3, 6, 7, my cards don't always necessarily recapture that great, but that's sort of the core idea. Play a strong corner using a lower level that I can recapture really effectively. I like 3-corner hands, and this one isn't that often. They're vulnerable to far corners because often you have a lot of power facing towards your starter. This one probably isn't so much. It has pretty decent power facing against a far corner. Next up, I thought, what are powerful cards or cards that could be powerful that I haven't considered yet? I thought 7, 5, 7, 5s are, of course, excellent on level 8. Not as good against 7s, but maybe I should put together a hand around them, see how things line up with that. That's where that hand came from. Then I noticed 6, 8, 6, 5 had an element on it, so it would be easier to cover all the elements. This hand has ample elements, but again, we have the 6, 8, 6s side to side. Maybe the 6, 8, 6, 5 could be subbed out for a 6, 8, 6, 3 or something, but it made a little more broad power to the left. I go 8, 7, 5, 3, 2 instead of if it was a 6, 8, 6, 3, I would drop off to the left real fast. And then along with the side to side cards, I have 3 corner cards. Note that all of them have plus wall play against up down 6s. So if the 6, 8, 6s land in the middle row, they all have potential to play off that. Thought that could be useful. The next one I thought, all right, what are some power cards I haven't committed? You'll notice I'm interested in the 7, 5, 5, 2s. I'm really not sure that's right. But I thought 8, 6, 6s, but not with the 8 sandwiched by the 6s, but sort of growing. I think of it as growing, like 4, then 6s, then 8, you know, things getting better, rather than a 4, 6, 8, 7, which, you know, I sort of think of as like a spear, the 8 pointing down, supported on the side. I guess that doesn't make sense for a spear, because a spear is sort of 1 point, but I think of it as a spear. Like Ward is the classic spear card in my head. A7, 2, 8, you know, a 10, well supported, but nothing behind it. And so like a 4, 6, 8, 7 is a spear card to me. A 4, 6, 7, 8 is like a growing card, you know, each number gets stronger. So 6, 6, 4, 8 is a growing card. You know, starting at the 4, you can go around counterclockwise and it grows. And of course, the 7, 5, 2, 5s are spears. So on average, I think spears are better than growing, but often with 8, 7, 6, 4s, this isn't the case. And I've gone with a lot of 8, 7, 6, 4 spears here. Sometimes they're better growing, but often that's because Harloot and Silver Dragon are such a good pair, so I'm really not sure on that. But the idea here was to test out 8, 6, 6s, And then I ended up with cards for 1, 3, and 9, so wanted to balance directionally, so picked cards that fit in 4 and 8, and the 7-5-5s were an easy answer for that. Maybe I should have gone with, say, a 7-6 corner and something vertical or horizontal for smoother balance. The hand's really good going to the right, and you'd think there'd be some drop-off, and there is a bit up and down, but I think the hand has some play there. Maybe it doesn't have play up. It has real trouble taking upward 8s, or downward 8s, but more trouble taking downward. Okay. Anyways, next one. Pick 2 kind of opposite 7-6s with some potential to plus wall each other. I also thought because element is on, I could end up with a starter of like, if I play 3, 6, 7, 2, and 9 and it gets a -1, then 7, 2, 4, 6 might be a fantastic recapturer, right? Pairs can sometimes with elemental be even better at recapturing than normal. And I thought maybe this would play off that. And I basically have 3 corners and then 2 8-6-6s because I think those are likely to be powerful. I think I overwent 8-6-6s here. I just couldn't think of other things I wanted to use. So I did a whole variety of 8-6-6s. Here we went with a 7-5-7-4. Wanted to consider it. The only hand we've hit with a 7-7 so far was this F3 hand. But I wanted to put in another, and I decided with up-down that maybe the 6-3, 6-8s could play off. And then again, 2 kind of opposite corners, but stuff that I thought could grab some useful plus walls, both potentially having play with all the 6s up and down. This one might have too many 6s up and down, because if their hand can punish that at all, I won't really have a way to avoid it. So that hand looks suspicious to me. And then you'll notice that one should have been numbered 8, because this one was 7, but I just can't count. And then lastly, a hand Smoke's made for me, and I'm really grateful for that. I am in no sense intending to use it, though I think it's fair play to like ask people for advice with hands and guidance. But what I really wanted to see was, are there cards I'm not seriously considering that other good players will? And Smokes very much went for the 7-7s and went for a 7-8-5-4 instead of a 7-8-6-4, and 3-6-4-6 was not a card I considered, but we can imagine it having good play against both 7s and 8s, and potentially playing off, 7-4-4-4 to be able to hit 6s too. So it's good play. So, okay, what I want to do with the hands, though, is I want to say sort of how do they line up? How long have we been going? 12 minutes. Okay, so normally I do this with more varied hands, and I couldn't really come up with variety. But let's just take these top 2 hands. How do they line up? For instance, if the first hand has starter, does the second hand have the things it wants to do covered? So for instance, if 7-6-3-2 starts in 7, what would the second hand do against it? Is this a problem for a second hand, in which case I probably don't want to play the second hand? Or is this something easy to meet? Now, intuitively, I feel it might be a problem. If we want to attack it immediately, we have a couple ways to do so, but I don't love them. For instance, if we take from 8 and they take back with, say we take with 5-2-5-7 and they take back with 6-8-6-3, we don't have 5, they don't have 5 either, but we don't have a great move for 1, I don't think. This is going to take doing a lot of thought in your head, which is why it is a difficult process, because you can't see it on the board. But 7-6-3-2 and 7 looks like it could be a difficult starter to meet. We can also learn from seeing this. We can go, I hadn't realized that could be difficult. Now that I have, I should adjust the hand. So one move that does pop out is maybe you could go 4-6-8-7 and 3. That looks quite difficult for them to meet, because actually the above hand runs out of ups pretty quickly. Their only capture is 6-8-6-3, but then I guess can't play 2-5-7-5 and 1, because that is comboable by 4-6-4-6 on the plus or any of the 6 up, 6 downs. But could take it with 6-8-6-4 or recapture the card in 3. But either way, it looks like the hand runs out of ups. And so I think by saying, okay, you used your best up, I can play against that. I think we could pose sufficient problems to 7-6-3-2 and 7. that we'd have a chance to play for advantage. Now, if we did go 3, they'd go 8. They'd go 8. And I'd really want to have a good setup in 6 there, and I'm not sure we will. So that could be still uncomfortable. All right, so what we're trying to learn here is maybe 7-6-3-2s are just really, and this is actually something Smoke suggested, and part of the reason he liked the 7-7-4s is he thinks 7-6-3-2s could be really strong here. And he might be right. I feel that with the up weakness, maybe I could meet, in the line, start in 7, I go 3 as the second turn player, they go 8, I go 2, and they don't have enough up to really play against it, maybe. But I don't have a card I really am excited to stick in 2. Yeah. I don't know. All right, let's try a different starter. Say they start 4, 6, 8, 7, and 3. That's not really well supported. If I flip it, they can't flip back. Probably good for me, though worth being careful. Because if everyone is massing up on 6-8-6-4s and you take something with a 6-8-6-4, it's probably really easy for them to have a big setup diagonal to it. That said, we also cover it from 6 and they don't, so that's not scary. If they chucked the 4-6, 4-6, and 5, sort of as said, saying their cards can play off it really well. That might be an idea. That could be difficult to meet. Suddenly like 4, 6, 8, 7, and 3, 6, 3, 6, 8 covers it 2 ways, right? Something like 2, 5, 7, 5, and 2, thinking my 8, 6, 4, 6 covers any time they go in 1 or 3, but I don't have a threat to go in 1 or 3 either. 4, 6, 4, 6, and 5 could be a good starter on this hand. And something like 6, 8, 6, 4, and 8 seems kind of logical to me, but 8, 6, 4, 6 as a recapture isn't that great. It's not that reliable. 4, 6, 8, 7 has it covered, so do the 6, 8, 6s. All right, so I have an idea for a starter if I go with the first hand. 7, 6, 3, 2, and 7 could work, but 4, 6, 4, 6, and 5 could be really annoying for some hands to meet. Sideways 8s are already really well covered. I think something logical for them to do there would be to say I have trouble taking 6s and maybe play 6, 8, 6, 4 in either 4 or 6. But I don't think I can be scared of that. What's weird about the 6, 8, 6s is they look like they're cards that want a side-to-side game, but they're usually dead going one way or the other. So I was thinking if they go 4 or 6, I'm really happy that it's a sideways game. Maybe I'm not as happy as I think. Because they, 5s to the sideways, they can flip one way, but not the other. And so they might not be that reliable. So maybe that would be a good reply. But the 6s up down are susceptible to combo, right? 4, 6, 8, 7, and 7, 6, 3, 2 are very carefully chosen for that purpose. So 4, 6, 4, 6, 5, maybe 6, 8, 6, 4, 6 is logical. That point, 7, 6, 3, 2, 7 might then hit well. I'm not seeing lines where these 5, 7, 5s are playing all that well. This might be indicative. No, with the 5, 7, 5s. All right, let's try the reverse. What if the first hand plays 4, 6, 8, 7 in 3? It can recapture it lots of ways. Sorry, the second hand. We're now looking at F2 starting. So say 4, 6, 8, 7, and 3, just thinking powerful starters. And also potentially taking advantage of an up weakness. 4, 6, 4, 6, and 5 doesn't feel that great, because while it sets up 6, 3, 6, 8 really well, it also sets up 5, 2, 5, 7 really well. And 5, 2, 5, 7 is on the player that will have last turn, so they can leave the squares open, and that's pretty dangerous. So I think it's hard to play that kind of setup. I don't think we want to take it immediately. We're just terrible going up. This is one of those cards that if the hand can't meet it well, because it is so likely to be used, it's an 8/7/6/4, those are powerful, it counts as dual elemental, that's really powerful. If a hand can't meet this starter well, it might not be a playable hand. On the other hand, how many people are likely to join to use 5/7/5s? Probably not many, though I'm really tempted. Really tempted. I mean, it looks annoying, right? Looks annoying. Maybe again we can just go far corner, though that doesn't feel so great. So say play Behemoth in 7. That seems pretty easy to follow up in 2 or something. Or even attack Behemoth. I've given up a recapture. Yeah, if Behemoth is just taken from 8, there's no recapture now. That could be a problem. I'm feeling like the second hand might be better than the first. Alright, let's look at more matchups. What have I learned? The 7/5/5s might actually be good. They can do a decent approximation of 8/6/6/3s in a lot of spots. Though, you know, the 6/8/6/3 versus the 5/2/5/7 can in fact take it in every direction, which might make them a decent pair, actually. Because it's so easy for one to recapture the other, but the other doesn't have no play or anything, and the other covers some separate things. That might be an idea. Combine 6/8/6/3 with, instead of pairing it with another 6/8/6/3, pair it with something like 5/2/5/7. It's an idea. So we have 7/6s might be really good, and 7/5/5s might be good pairs with 8/6/6s. Okay, third hand. Intended starter 3/6/7/2 in 7. So and 1. We'll have this as the starter hand, see if the other hands can reply. Our first hand against this starter has coverage from 4 already. That's pretty good. Not great because the 8 facing towards 5 makes it hard to recapture from one direction. But has some coverage there. And has some coverage from 2 with 4/6/8/7, but that can be comboed back. And some with 6/3/6/8. I don't think you ever actually want to take from 2, though, just because it makes the game upward. Like, even if they don't have a good recapture in 4, if they go 3, the first hand is really bad at going upwards. 4/6/4/6 and 5. Probably not great. It really sets up 4/5/7/7 for them. Far corner is pretty well covered. I wouldn't be too scared of that. Yeah. Again, 7/6/3/2s might be tricky to meet. So right now I'm not feeling great about hand 1. I thought it had some ideas. I'm kind of excited about 4/6/4/6 and 5, but I think on the defensive end, it might just have an up issue and make kind of anything strongish on the top side of the board really annoying to meet. All right, what about the second hand, defending against 3/6/7/2 and 1? Sadly, the 5/5/7s don't line up. It's all very clunky, isn't it? All very clunky. So the sneaky thing about 7/6 corners is they'll be pretty strong because your hand can't have that much kind of broad directional strength, but also hard to ever take cleanly. And that might let the first turn player force the action. I'm actually quite liking the look of this third hand. How does it meet the other starters? So if we say we're looking at the third hand defending against the first, if they go 7/6/3/2 in 7, feels like it has ample coverage and kind of freedom to do what it wants there. Maybe can't get away with 3/6/7/2 and 1, but almost can. Kind of can. I'm not too worried there. And what about 4-6, 4-6 in 5? The move that has more often been annoying. Or was more annoying last time I looked at something here. Maybe 2-7, 4-6, and 8? Something where only the 6-3, 6-8 has a capture in 9, but we have a combo back. So we threaten to build out. And it's hard for them to play 7 because we have a pretty nice way to recapture in 9 if wanted. And we control 7 quite well. Yeah, that seems like a decent idea. I don't have to look too deep, it's just, if something looks decent, I'll probably find something that feels decent in game. It's okay. Maybe we're going to end up on a 3-corner hand. What about hand 3 versus hand 2? What were potential starters there? 4-6, 8-7, and 3. We should always check if we have covered. 8-6, 4-7, and 3-6, 7-2 give really good coverage. That gives some freedom to do what we want. And a move that appeals to me is 2-7, 4-6 in 7. Or something saying you have trouble taking that 7. That's another important thing about the set. You can only have an 8 in 3 directions. There's going to be some direction where your strongest number is a 7 or worse. And if we look at the hand so far, the top hand, it is up, and it has seen up issues in the lines I've looked at. In the second hand, the direction is left, and we're now potentially seeing left issues. And in the third hand, the direction is both down and left. Haven't had an issue yet. This might mean we haven't faced a dangerous hand yet, but it might also actually have ended up being a better balanced hand. It is a 4-corner hand, essentially, with one side to side, which should be pretty good hand balance. And a lot of the cards pick up stuff in that bottom left corner. I wasn't expecting to be hyped for the 3-corner hand, but right now I'm feeling pretty good about it. Our next hand, I thought 7-7, 5-5s, usually up, down, or side to side rather than the corner cards, might be really strong. I'm not feeling that great about the 7-5, 5-2s anymore, though. I was sort of feeling they might be a nice try coming in, but maybe this is not the best way to showcase 7-5-5s. So how would this hand deal with 3-6, 7-2, and 1? Unhappily? You know, if it ever has to take from 2, 5-7, 5-7 is comboed back, 6-3, 6-8, maybe just gets taken by 4, 5, 7, 7, and 3, which would be safe. It has a capture from 4. It has a good capture from 4. Notably, if the hand 3's recapture in 2, 2-7, 4-6 is ever used, and 5-7, 5-2 in 2, and 5-7, 5-2 lands in 4, that sets up hand 3 for a same. I mean, there's probably good moves here, but it looks a little uncomfortable, even though 5-7, 5-2 is a nice capture. Doesn't look like there's going to be something clean here. Feeling good about hand 3. I should say, I'm not super committed to these hands. I do think doing this, usually I do it with fewer hands. I have 9 here, which is, you know, this is going to take a long ass time. But usually I would kind of think, all right, here's a few archetypes. So in a more traditional set, it might be, okay, what about a hand that runs a lot of 8s, a hand that runs a lot of 8-7-6s, a hand that runs a lot of 8-6-6s, and a hand that runs a lot of 7-7-4s or 7-7-5s. You know, and I might have 4 hands, think about how they match up, and then draw some conclusions, and then maybe come up with a hand based on the conclusions I drew, think about how that matches up a little, and see if I want to adjust. That would be a more, you know, this is for a match I'm, of course, very serious about, so I'm putting in extra work on the hand building, but that would be a kind of better way to do it, because I wouldn't get lost so much in checking similar hands over and over. Alright, not super hyped about 4 right now. How does 3 versus 5 work? What would 5 do against 3, 6, 7, 2, and 1? Again, not a clean answer. And I think that's just what we're going to see, and we saw that with 1 as well. Like 7, 6, 3, 2 in the first hand in 7 seems unlikely to be met by all that clean an answer, but the hand itself then runs out of up power. Here, 3, 6, 7, 2 might not be that cleanly answered, and the hand isn't immediately dying in any direction. The hand might have an up issue, but we haven't seen it yet. I don't know. Okay. So 3 verse 5. 3 starts with 3, 6, 7, 2, and 1. What might 5 do? Just seems uncomfortable. 6, 8, 6, 5, and 7. Possible. I kind of like 2, 7, 4, 6, and 4 there, though. Then maybe you just have a good block in 8. Because 8, 6, 4, 7, and 2 is comboed in 5. And 6, 3, 6, 8 in 5 is comboed in 8. I think both effectively. So you probably have to go 8. You probably do have a move in 8. But I've got all my level 7s left. It's hard for that position to be too bad for me. I think that's promising. Man, am I going to play a 3 corners hand in a tournament finals? Alright, this is another hand. I kind of think the 7-5-5s are wrong. Or the 7-5-5s should be combined with the 6-8-6, which I guess we saw in hand 4, but nowhere else. Alright. Meets 3, 6, 7, 2, and 1. Say we're going 3 verse 6. Is it happy? 5, 7, 5, 2 is nice in 4. It's probably happy. You know, something like 6, 6, 4, 8, and 3 is probably very comfortable. It's probably comfortable moves in 5. I think this hand would meet that more comfortably. Based on what we've seen, this next hand, 7, or the first 7, we should probably feel kind of enthused. It does seem like the 7-6s might be really good here. Let's try hand 6 verse 7. Say 7 goes first. Goes 7, 2, 4, 6, and 9, right? Because it sees you have better coverage of 3, 6, 7, 2 with your 5, 7, 5, 2. What if I go 7, 2, 4, 6? Here's another thought, though. With elementals, if you have unreliable ways to capture, those ways might disappear. The 6-8-6s might be a little better than we think because they will reliably capture 8s, but they won't actually reliably capture 7s depending how the elements line up. Huh. I haven't really thought about that. Because, like, if, say, 7, 2, 4, 6 went in 9, and there was, you know, an element in 6, 4, 6, 8, 7 just can't capture it. Now, that makes it all come down to the captures in 8. But 3, 6, 7, 2 is good combo play against 4, 8, 6, 6. I think 7-6s are just better than the 7-5-5s. I was hoping this was a 7-5-5 set so I could do something unexpected and effective, but I think 7-6s are going to be the best card. I think a 7-6 corner is quite powerful and a good use of level 4. And if that's true, it makes sense why hand 3 would look nice. So maybe I need more 7-6 based hands. Seems plausible. This hand also had 7-6s. How does this hand start? Hand 5. Say 5 verse 3, because I'm currently highest on 3. Say it starts with a 7, 6, 3, 2, and 7. You'll also notice I went 8-6 side to side so much more than up down. I couldn't get the hands to work up down. Part of it's because I like 8-6, 4-7 and 4-6, 8-7. Those cards having elements and also being 8-7, 6-4s. And those paired better with the sideways 8-6s. But I really should have forced a 8-6 up-down hand, where the 8s are going up, 1 8 is going up and 1's going down, just so I had it to compare with. Okay, so say 7, 6, 3, 2, and 7. Could meet it with 3, 6, 7, 2, and 1, which I mentioned before, and probably still feels good. Probably still feels good. Because you really do just threaten to go in 4. It's not like there's a great recapture in 8. About 2, 7, 6, 3, and 1. 4, 5, 7, 7 gives some in 8 coverage. Notably, 8, 6, 4, 7s are only capture from 4. Potentially exploiting our up weakness, which we definitely do have. That could be quite annoying. Could be a very good move. But this again says different versions of 7-6 corners are potentially going to be the problem. Very interesting. What else do we got? Here's a hand with 7-6 corners, 2 hands with 7-6 corners. Alright, well, I have to go to dinner, I think. And this wasn't the most systematic version of this, but you can imagine like 4 clear hand types and just think a bit about how do they line up. Do I have a move I'm comfortable with from this side against that one? Do I have a move for that side I'm comfortable with against this one? If so, start to feel good about one hand, start to feel worse about the other. Right now, I'm feeling best about this, but it's also possible it's the best 7-6 oriented hand that I had listed so far. That the first hand has too big an up weakness. The second hand, 7-5-5s are not good. The third hand, the 7-7-5-5s are not good because they're not going to target 7s and 6s well. Or are not as good as they might normally be. The fourth hand, or the fifth hand now, might be good. There's 2 7-6s. Sixth hand, I don't really believe in anymore. Seventh hand, I think has a good chance to be good. Eighth hand, I think has a good chance to be good. But I'm not sure about the 7-5-7-4. I'll have to think about that one's matchups. Ninth hand does not go 7-6s for the low levels. It goes things that potentially have good coverage against them. I'm not sure having a massive 7s will be that reliable here. You know, as soon as an element hits, they can't take a 6. I'm skeptical of that. So I would bet I'm going to run with either hand 3, 5, or one of the 7s, because I named 2 7. And I think this is one way that you can kind of learn about a set without playing it, is just think about the matchups. Think about, do you have setups? Do you have coverage of the corners they might do? I still like 1. The idea of 4-6, 4-6, and 5 seems appealing, but I don't love the idea of it on second turn. So hopefully this was useful as a kind of way to think about hands. Especially if you know your opponent likes a certain type of card, right? Like, if you are playing me, for instance, and this is probably not advice I should put out there because I want to do well. But if you know, like, I really like, say, 8-7-6-4 is when available, which is true, I do. Or there are actually, let's target someone other than me. There are lots of players who really like 8-6-4-6s. I'm not sure they're still around, but there used to be players who really loved 8-6-4-6s. And would always run on level 7 with at least 2. So if you knew if they were available, and you knew they were you were playing that opponent, and you're kind of putting together a few hands, definitely include one that has 8-6-6s, even if you have no interest in playing them at all, because you need something that's going to match up well. Yeah. So I think top hand... The up's just not great. I think the issue is specifically 4-6-8-7. If they have a version of it, it can't really deal with that 8. It can deal with 7s facing down, but not 8s at all. And it's going to run out of power against 6s pretty quick as well. Yeah. That might be an issue, though. Like, that's another thing to think about. You have a maximum of 3 directions covered with an 8, right? Actually, this hand, maybe 4-5-7-7 should be switched to 4-6-8-7. But then 8-6-4-7 has to switch too, because can't have 2 8-7s. Okay, but back to what I was saying. You can have an 8 in 3 of the 4 directions and a 7 in the 4th. That means if an elemental lands in the wrong square, you might not be able to capture 6s facing down. If we're doing the 6-8-6-3 stuff, you will be able to hit 7s. You'll probably have some plus wall potential against at least one of 7s, 8s, but you probably won't against 6s. No one's really targeting 6s. And so with Elemental, these 8-6-6s might actually have sneaky chances to just really give a serious up-down problem to them. That's also something to keep in mind. So I guess one last scan of the hands of directional power. So hand 1, problem going up. Hand 2, the problem should be to the left. It can take 8s a few different ways and 7s a couple ways, though redundant to the left. So it has some play against the bigger things. It also has 2 cards with a 7 left. Both of them have an element that increases the chance it has to be able to overpower kind of 6s there, or 7s, but could be difficult. I think this is just going to be true of every hand. This hand misses 8s going both down and left. The 2-7-4-6 has some coverage of 8s. The 4-5-7-7, depending where it is, probably doesn't actually cover. The 6-8-6-3 has some on 7s. The 8-6-4-7 has some on 7s. But by not having an 8 on the 4-5-7-7, we're a little scareder of stuff there. That is the realest drawback we've seen on this Homer-based hand. This one, I think 7-7-5-5s are not the answer. I think Elemental really hurts them, as does the fact that there can't be a mass of 8s. The rule set has banned having large numbers of 8s. They won't have targets. If they land on elemental squares, they might not be able to hit the stuff they want to take at all. This hand only has 1 8. I think it's a bad hand. So hopefully that's the kind of thing Akiyama runs, though I don't think he will. I think he'll run 8-6-6s, which is part of the reason I loaded up on them in these hands. This one has 8s everywhere but down. It can combo some 7s and nothing else. This hand might just have a down issue, hand 5. Yeah, 6-8-6-5 should be cut here. This hand might be improvable to something good. If that was a 6-8-6-4, actually might be the pick here. That would give a little 8 coverage. There's already some 7 coverage on 2-7-6-3 that 6-8-6-3 would be redundant on. That might improve it, and it would have enough. No, it wouldn't have enough elements. I was thinking the second card counts as 2 elements, but the 4th card has the same element, so it actually... Oh, no, but the 3rd card has an element, so it would be good. That would be a legit hand. So this hand might be good with 6-8-6-4 put in. See, I feel we're learning here, and I didn't spend forever putting these hands together. I mean, I spent, an hour or so, but I was just kind of picking cards I liked that seemed balanced and seemed like I was doing a variety, though really I wasn't, because I kept picking sideways 8-6-6s and never up-down, which is a little suspicious. I should have some up-down in here, but okay. The next one has 8s in 3 directions. In the 4th direction, it has a 7 and a way to take 8s. 5-7-5-2 can pick off 7s, but if you're left with the high-level cards, you don't have much play there. Yeah, don't like it. Next hand, we have 8s in 3 directions. We're missing an 8 up. It might be most common to be missing an 8 up, just because Gigas is so good at hitting 2 elements that it's easy to choose, and the sideways 6-8-6s are a natural fit, and that might mean that most often an 8 is missed going up. Which further strengthens Gigas, because it's a card that benefits from that. Man, Gigas might be this was a point Smokes made too. He thought Gigas was a kind of automatic inclusion for a lot of people, so he wanted a hand that could target it. How did he target it? 3-6-4-7, I guess? That doesn't really target Gigas here. Interesting. Okay, well, he mentioned it. It was a good thought. That's the thought I'm kind of coming to as well. This hand has, so we're on 7, the first 7. Has a 7 up. Has some way to plus wall 8s. No backup ways to hit 7s. I don't know. This one, misses an 8 up and down. The 7-5-7-4 gives limited but somewhat good coverage. The 2-3-6-7 hits 7s. 6-7-4-2, that hitting 6s might actually be relevant. Weirdly. Huh. And our last hand, the Smokes hand, has only an 8 to the right. 8's down, it has a little coverage on 7-8-4-5, but limited. 8's to the right, 3-6-4-6, and depending on the situation, 4-5-7 limited. 8's up, 6-7-7-5 is limited, so does 4-5-7-7. Between them, pretty good coverage. 7's down, it's, you know, Tarama's great. 7's left and right. 4-5-7-7, 3-6-4-6 gives some coverage, though has to be aligned on the right part of the board. 7's facing up, not really. Alright, I think we'll call it here.